I woke up in a hospital bed with a pounding head, a dry throat, and absolutely no idea who I was. The room was quiet except for the slow beeping of a heart monitor. Fluorescent lights above made everything feel cold and distant. My eyes scanned. The white walls, the IV drip next to me, and then her. A woman sat by my side, holding my hand like it belonged to her. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days, but her eyes, man, her eyes were locked on me like I was the only person that existed. "You're awake," she whispered, voice cracking with emotion. Thank God. I blinked at her, confused. I didn't recognize her face, her voice, nothing. Who are you?" Her smile froze just for a second, and that second said everything. "I'm your wife, Ariba," she said, giving my hand a squeeze. "You've been in an accident. The doctor said you hit your head pretty bad. You don't remember anything?" I shook my head slowly. Nothing. Not even my name. She swallowed hard, then leaned closer. "It's okay. I'm here. We'll get through this. Together." She seemed sweet. Soft-spoken, caring. But something deep inside me twitched, like a whisper that said, something's off. I couldn't place it. Maybe it was just the amnesia. Or maybe it was her smile. The kind that hides more than it shows. The doctors came in a while later, confirmed what she'd told me. My name was Fahad, 29 years old, married to Ariba for 3 years. Car crash, head injury, severe memory loss. After 2 days of tests, painkillers, and fake smiles, I was discharged. Ariba helped me into the passenger seat of her white Honda Civic. She had already packed my stuff, brought clothes for me, everything prepared, like she had been waiting for this exact moment. "You okay?" she asked as we pulled onto the road. "Yeah, just feels weird going to a house I don't remember." She glanced at me. "Don't worry. Once you see it, maybe some memories will come back." They didn't. The house was modern, clean, and too perfect. Like one of those Instagram homes that look good but feel fake. There were photos of us on the walls, wedding pictures, vacation selfies, laughing, hugging, kissing, but I couldn't feel anything looking at them. It was like staring at two strangers, pretending to be in love. She walked me through the house, room by room. Showed me where my clothes were, my favorite mug, even my toothbrush. Everything screamed normal, but my gut kept whispering lie. Later that night, she made my favorite. Dinner, chicken biryani, raita, salad. She sat close to me, laughed at things I didn't remember, touched my arm every few seconds. It was like she was trying to make me fall for her again. And the messed up part? It was kind of working. She was beautiful, curvy, dusky skin, long black. Hair with that innocent wife vibe. The way she looked at me like I was her world, it did something to me. Even without memory, I felt pulled toward her. After dinner, she brought out a box. Inside were old letters, gifts, notes we'd written each other. She read one out loud. It was a long, cheesy paragraph supposedly written by me, talking about how she was the light in my darkest days. I watched her face as she read. So much emotion, so much effort. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while she slept beside me. And I kept thinking, was I really this lucky before the accident? Or did something get rewritten while I was unconscious? Because every time she smiled, it felt like a trap disguised as love. 3 days passed, and I still didn't remember a damn thing. Ariba was doing everything. Cooking, cleaning, checking on me like I was made of glass. She called me John every few sentences, held my hand when we watched TV, and kissed my forehead every night like she was in some romantic drama. And me, I played along. What else could I do? But every time I was alone, my head swirled with questions. Why didn't I feel married? Why did everything feel too clean, too controlled? I started noticing the little things, like how all my texts and emails were wiped. My phone had been damaged in the crash, she said, and the new one had only her number saved. "Where are my friends?" I asked one morning over breakfast. "Didn't anyone come to see me?" She paused mid-spread with butter in hand. They all reached out, she said quickly. But I told them to give you space. You need time. Convenient. That day, I explored the house while she was busy in the kitchen. There was one room locked from inside. When I asked her, she said, "That's just a storage room full of junk, nothing important." But something told me that room held answers. She watched me more than I watched TV. Every time I picked up my phone, she peeked. If I stayed quiet too long, she asked if I was okay. At first it felt sweet, then it started feeling suffocating. One night, I woke up thirsty and went to the kitchen for water. As I walked past the living room, I saw her sitting in the dark, phone in hand, crying. She didn't notice I was there and I couldn't see the screen. But I saw her lips move, whispering to someone, saying things like, "I'm trying, I'm doing everything. He still doesn't remember. I need more time." I backed away quietly, heart pounding. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened, smiled, made chai, gave me a back rub like she hadn't spent the night crying to someone else behind my back. The same day, I found something under the bed, an envelope. Inside it were printed screenshots, chats between her and a guy named Sammy. Old conversations. "He's so cold these days, I think he's cheating on me." "You deserve better, Ariba. You know I'd never treat you like that. Maybe one day, Sammy. Maybe one day." I sat there frozen, staring at the words. So before the accident, I wasn't exactly Prince Charming. And she was flirting with some other dude behind my back. I put the envelope back, didn't say a word, but everything started making sense. The perfect wife act, the memory loss advantage. She wasn't trying to help me remember. She was trying to rewrite who I was, make me into the husband she wished she had. That night, she climbed into bed and snuggled close, whispering, "You've been so sweet lately. I feel like I've fallen in love with you all over again." I didn't move, didn't speak, because I realized something chilling. I wasn't her favorite simp by accident. She'd created me that way, and if I ever found out who I really used to be, I wasn't sure she'd let me stay alive long enough to tell anyone. I couldn't sleep after that. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was that envelope, the chats with Sammy, her fake little laughs, her gentle voice pretending everything was okay. I started watching her like a hawk, and the more I watched, the more I realized Ariba wasn't mourning the man I used to be. She was celebrating that he was gone. She cooked my favorite meals, always stayed close, made little comments like, "You're so much calmer now," or, "I like this new you." As if the old Fahad was a problem, a glitch, something she had to survive. And maybe I had been. I didn't know, but I sure as hell was starting to feel like a prisoner in a 5-star cage. One morning I pretended to be asleep. She slipped out of bed, tiptoed to the other room, the locked one. I heard the creak of the door, the sound of a key. I got up silently and followed. I peeked from around the hallway. She was inside. The room was dark, but from the little bit I could see, it wasn't storage. There were photos, dozens, pinned on the walls, printed and labeled, of me. Somewhere I looked happy. Somewhere I looked angry. Some even looked like they were taken without me knowing. It looked more like a damn obsession room than a memory wall. Then she did something that chilled me to my spine. She picked up a black notebook from the table and kissed it before hiding it inside a drawer. I stepped back quickly, returned to bed before she came out. My heart was thudding so hard I thought it'd give me another injury. Later that day, I waited until she went out for groceries. The second the door closed, I ran to that room, unlocked now, empty, no photos, no notebook. She had cleared it out, like she knew I was watching. I sat down on the bed, sweating, confused, angry. Was I going crazy? Was I just paranoid? Or was she seriously hiding something big? Then, a buzz. Her phone. She had left it on the side table. I shouldn't have checked it, but I did. I opened WhatsApp. There was a hidden archived chat. Sammy. I tapped it. His last message. "You sure he doesn't remember anything?" This could be your chance, Ariba. You deserve to be happy. Her reply was still on screen. He's different now, obedient, gentle, like I always wanted. It's working. My chest tightened. Obedient, gentle, like I was some broken dog she had trained. That's when I knew. This wasn't a love story. It was a setup, and I was the fool being rewritten into her fantasy. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed answers, real ones. I needed to know who the hell I really was before the accident. So that night, when she was asleep, I did the one thing I hadn't dared to do before. I grabbed my old wallet from the drawer and checked the only ID card still in it. My name, Fahad Akram, and on the back, a small card from a therapist, Dr. Yasir Nadim, memory therapy and marital counseling. Marital counseling? I stared at the name, and right then, I made my decision. Tomorrow, I was going to find this man, because if Ariba's version of me was fake, I needed to find out just how real my past really was. I left early, didn't tell Ariba where I was going, just said I needed air, and thankfully she didn't push back. Maybe she thought her little experiment was working so well I wouldn't even dare question her. But I was done playing the role she scripted for me. I typed the address on the back of that therapist's card into my phone. The place was across the city, tucked between some dusty old buildings. No big clinic, no fancy board, just a small door with Dr. Yasir Nadim, psychologist, etched into a rusty plate. I knocked. A tall, thin man with glasses opened the door. Looked like someone who hadn't smiled in 5 years, yes? I'm Fahad Akram, I said. You used to treat me, or us, me and my wife. He blinked, then stepped aside. Come in. The office smelled like old paper and sanitizer. Books everywhere. He sat across from me, adjusting his glasses slowly, studying me like a test subject. So you don't remember anything? He asked. Nothing, I said. Not even my own face. He nodded. I had a feeling this would happen. Ariba messaged me 2 weeks ago, told me about the accident, said she'd handle it, told me not to reach out. I frowned. Why? What? Were we even coming here for? The man leaned back, sighed. Fahad, your marriage was not good. At least, not in the past year. You were distant. Suspicious. She felt unloved. You felt trapped. Trapped? I repeated. He nodded. You told me once. I feel like she's in love with a version of me that never existed. Those words hit me like a truck. She was obsessed with fixing things, he continued, but not in a healthy way. She wanted control, not healing. She didn't want to work with you. She wanted to reshape you. My throat went dry. And me? I asked. Was I cheating? Was there someone else? He hesitated. You suspected her. You had reasons. You even hired a private investigator. I sat up straight. What? He opened a drawer, pulled out a small folder. You gave me this. The last day you visited, told me to keep it safe just in case. Inside were photos. Clear ones, Ariba. In a cafe. Holding hands with Sammy, hugging him in the parking lot, smiling like she hadn't smiled at me in years, assuming that me even existed back then. I stared at the photos. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it was splitting open. So I knew, I whispered. I knew everything. And she begged you to forgive her, Dr. Yasser said softly. But you were done. You told her you wanted out. Silence. I leaned back in the chair. Everything clicked. That room, the creepy pictures, the texts, the fake sweetness. This wasn't a second chance. It was a full-on reboot. I was the man who caught her. And now she'd turned me into the man who would never know. I left the office with the folder in my bag and my mind spinning. Back home, she greeted me with a kiss on the cheek and her usual soft voice. Missed you, John. Where'd you go? I smiled back, fake as hell. Just went to see someone, I said, trying to remember who I really am. Her eyes twitched, just for a second. Then she laughed. That's good. As long as you remember you're mine. And in that moment, I didn't know if I should kiss her back or run for my damn life. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay beside her, still as a corpse, while her breathing slowed and her body melted into mine like we were some fairy tale couple. But inside my head, a storm. She cheated, lied, manipulated, and now she was sleeping peacefully next to a man she tried to remake from scratch. The next morning, I woke up before her. Took a quiet shower, got dressed like nothing was wrong. I even made breakfast for the first time. Ariba blinked at the kitchen counter in surprise. Wow, what's this? Surprise, I said, smiling. Thought I'd do something nice for my favorite girl. She smiled back. That perfect little smile I used to fall for, before I knew what was behind it. We sat down to eat. I watched her take a bite of the omelet, then I slid the folder across the table. She froze. Her eyes flicked to it, then back to me. What's this? Go ahead, I said. Memories coming back in bits. Thought I'd share. She opened the folder slowly, looked at the photos. You know that look when someone's soul leaves their body for a second? That was her face. She didn't even try to lie, didn't scream, didn't throw the photos away, she just sat there, silent. I leaned forward, elbows on the table. So let me guess, I found these before the accident, yeah? You begged for another chance. I refused. And then, by some miracle, I get into a car crash, forget everything, and wake up into this cute little fantasy you created. Still no answer. Smiled wider. Tell me, Ariba, did you cry when the crash happened? Or did you thank God? Her voice was a whisper. You weren't supposed to find those. Yeah, I said. I was also supposed to stay your obedient little puppet, huh? Silence again. She looked down at her plate like the eggs might give her a script to follow. You were leaving me, she finally said. I couldn't let that happen. I messed up, okay? I got scared. But I loved you. I still love you. You were angry, distant, cold before. Now look at you. Sweet, kind, soft. You hold me. You say please and thank you. You're the man I always wanted. I leaned back, laughed bitterly. That's not love. That's engineering. Her voice cracked. I just wanted one more chance. I stood up. You don't get a chance by stealing someone's identity, Ariba. You buried the man I was and built a doll out of what was left. And for what? So you could keep pretending we were happy? Tears filled her eyes. Real ones. But I didn't care. I'd seen what fake love looked like now. You know what hurts the most? I said. I might have actually fallen for you. I really thought maybe I had the best wife in the world. She stood too, reaching for my hand. Fahad, wait. Please, I'll tell Sammy it's over. I'll delete everything. Just stay. I pulled my hand back. Too late, I said. This simp's done. I picked up the folder, grabbed my jacket, and walked out. She didn't chase me. Not that time. But the game wasn't over, because I knew her type. She wouldn't let go that easy, and now that I had my truth, I was going to make damn sure she never got to rewrite anyone's story again. 3 days. That's how long I stayed gone. No calls, no texts, nothing. And just like I predicted, Ariba cracked first. She showed up at my friend Saad's place, one of the few names I found in my old group photos online. He was shocked to see me, even more shocked when I told him the story. He let me crash in his guest room, no questions asked. She knocked like a ghost. Soft, slow, patient. Fahad, please, she said through the door. I just want to talk. I opened it. She looked rough. No makeup. Hair in a loose bun. Face pale like she hadn't slept in days. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I know I messed up, but I was desperate. You don't understand what it was like, knowing I was losing you every day. I crossed my arms. So you decided to erase me completely? Neat solution. I didn't erase you, she said. I just guided you. You were broken, angry, cold. You hated everything. I gave you peace. You gave me lies, I said flatly. Let me guess. You deleted my contacts, blocked people, told everyone I needed time, so no one could remind me who I really was. She flinched. Didn't deny it. You know what's crazy? I said. I was ready to build something real with you again. But now I see you didn't want me. You wanted a controlled, tamed version of me. I wanted love, she whispered. I just didn't want to lose you. And now? I asked. She blinked. Now I want to fix this. For real. I stared at her for a long moment, then smiled. Okay. Her face lit up. Hope, relief, stupid, reckless belief. But on my terms now, I added. You want a second chance? Fine. But I'm not moving back in, I'm not kissing you good morning, and I'm not your emotional support husband anymore. She hesitated. Then what do you want? Honesty, I said. Start with Sammy. Her face went blank. You're still talking to him, I added. Don't even try to lie. I checked your Instagram. You deleted our wedding pics, but you liked his beach photo yesterday. Caught. She looked down. We haven't met. It's just messages. Cool, I said. Block him, right now. She didn't move, and that told me everything I needed to know. I shook my head. You don't get it, Ariba. You lost me. You really lost me. The old me might have forgiven you. The memory loss version of me worshipped you. But this me? He's done with your drama. She looked like I slapped her. I turned and started to close the door, then paused. Oh, and one more thing, I added. I'm not your simp. I was your second chance. You turned that into a game. Now watch how it ends. I shut the door in, her face. I felt light for the first time in weeks, free. But deep inside, I knew. She wasn't going to vanish. Ariba wasn't the type to let go, and I wasn't the type to forgive anymore. This wasn't just about forgetting the past. It was about making damn sure I never made the mistake of loving someone who thought they could program me. It had been a week, a full 7 days since I shut the door on her and thought that was it. I was wrong. The first message came on WhatsApp, unknown number. You think you're smart? You don't know half of what I did for you. I blocked it. Then came the email. Long, dramatic, full of crying emojis, quotes about forgiveness and destiny. She ended it with, one day, you'll see I was your only peace. Peace? That woman was the quiet before the chaos. Saad warned me. Bro, this girl's not stable. You need to be careful. She's not going to walk away. She's going to twist this into her own little movie. And just like he said, the show began. She started reaching out to my old contacts, friends, distant cousins, posting photos on Instagram of us like we were still together. Captions like, "True love is worth fighting," or even had the nerve to post one of those fake deep quotes. Sometimes he forgets who he is, but love will remind him. The gaslighting was on level 100. But then came the worst part. She messaged Saad's wife, claimed I was manipulating her, using memory loss to hide my abusive tendencies. Said I had anger issues and needed therapy. Lies. Straight poison. Saad confronted me with it, but thank God he trusted me. Still, I saw the worry in his eyes. She's going nuclear, bro. She's gonna drag your name into the dirt. And she did. I started getting cold stares at the grocery store. Someone unfollowed me on Facebook. One of my old co-workers messaged, asking if everything was okay. Heard some stuff through the grapevine. She was turning herself into the victim and, me, the villain who changed after the accident. It was genius. Sick, but genius. And all of it was building toward one thing. Control. Even outside the marriage, she still wanted to puppeteer my image. If she couldn't have me, she'd make sure. No one else wanted me either, so I stopped waiting for peace. I lawyered up, told him everything. The manipulation, the fake care, the hidden affair, the obsession. I even showed the folder from Dr. Yassir. He leaned back, took a long breath, and said, "She's not done, she's spiraling, and spiraling people either disappear or they go for the kill." He was right, because just 2 days later, I got a letter at Saad's place, unmarked envelope. Inside, a photo. Me, at the therapist's office, taken from a distance, through the glass. On the back, written in her handwriting, "If you keep digging, you'll regret what you find." My hands went cold. She was watching me, following me. This wasn't about love anymore, it was obsession. And now I knew something even scarier than losing my memory. I knew exactly who Ariba really was, and she was done pretending to be my wife. Now she wanted to become my nightmare. I stared at the photo for a long time. Her handwriting on the back felt heavier than the thread itself. She wanted me scared. She wanted me paranoid. And worst of all, she wanted me silent. But she forgot one thing. The Fahad she used to control, he was long gone. I didn't go to the police. I went straight to Dr. Yassir. "I want this documented," I said, dropping the photo on his desk. "She's following me, watching me. This has to stop." He didn't even blink. "You're not the first one she's done this to." I froze. "What did you say?" He opened his drawer, pulled out an old file with a different name. "Before you, there was another case, a guy named Ali, engaged to her for a year. Same pattern, manipulation, emotional control, surveillance. But he ran before it got this bad." I leaned forward. "And?" "He left the country, changed his number, his name. I lost contact with him. My blood went cold. She'd done this before. This wasn't some broken girl clinging to love. This was a pattern, a method, and now it had escalated, because this time she married her victim. I left the clinic and went straight to a cybercrime lawyer, told them everything, shared the texts, the messages, the stalking, the printed threats, everything. Then I sent one last message to Ariba. I know everything. The photos, Sammy, even Ali. You don't scare me anymore. I'm done playing the sweet husband. This time, it's my story. She didn't reply, but she read it. I saw the double ticks go blue. 2 hours later, she showed up at Saad's place again, screaming, crying, begging. I made a mistake. Fahad, please. I was scared. You were slipping away and I didn't know what else to do. I just wanted you to love me again. Neighbors peeked from behind their doors. Saad tried to calm her, but she was gone. Mascara smeared, voice shaking, switching between apology and threats. I gave you everything. I fixed you. You think anyone else will love a broken man like you? That's when I stepped outside. Calm. Cold. You didn't fix me, I said. You reprogrammed me. Like a project. Like I was some machine you could reset. But here's the twist. The machine remembers now. She stood there, stunned. I held up the phone. I recorded all of this. Every word. Every threat. Every lie. I've already filed a report. Her face changed. Fear. Real fear. Please, she whispered. Don't do this. Don't ruin me. I stared her down. You ruined yourself the day you tried to turn love into a game. She ran, for real this time. No more texts, no more emails, no more showing up. I heard through someone. A month later, she left the city, deleted all her accounts, disappeared like a ghost. And honestly, good, let her vanish into the shadows she created. I moved on, got my number changed, went back to therapy, rebuilt my life from scratch, but this time my way. No fake smiles, no obsession behind soft words, just real healing, real identity, and... Whenever I looked in the mirror now, I didn't see a puppet or a simp. I saw a man who came back from being erased, a man who was used, but never broken, because the real victory isn't forgetting the past. It's remembering who the hell you are and never letting anyone write your story for you again.